Welcome to Boring Stories. Tonight, you're not a hero. You're not even important. You're just someone living a life that passed quietly, a long time ago. In a time of dynasties and scholars, mountains and mist, you belong to none of it. But you are here. Let the noise fade. Let the stillness speak. Let's begin. You wake before the sun has stretched across the fields. The air is pale with dawn and smells faintly of cold ashes, dried herbs, and dusted earth. Your house is small, 4 bamboo walls that creak when the wind shifts, a roof that rustles gently overhead. You're still under your blanket, thin cotton laid atop straw matting, warm where your body has slept, but already the edges of morning coolness begin to nip at your hands. Somewhere, a rooster stirs but does not crow. A faint tapping, maybe a loose stalk of bamboo against the outer wall, clicks with a rhythm like thoughtless breath. It's a quiet house, a quiet day, a quiet life. You don't move yet. You lie there and feel the weight of sleep slip from you like a silk robe sliding from a polished shoulder. The light, gray and soft, doesn't rush you. It waits, as if it too respects the hush of this moment. Eventually you sit up. Your joints creak, not from age, necessarily, but from the way nights in the hills wrap themselves around bones. You stretch. The ceiling is low enough that you can touch one of the rafters with ease. It is warm from the sun's memory, though it was touched by it yesterday. You roll up your bedding and fold it neatly. There is a way to do things, and you do them as you've always done them. Quietly. Without thought, but with care. The water jar in the corner waits. You ladle a bit into a clay bowl, splash it on your face, feel the shock of it wake you fully. The kettle is already halfway filled from yesterday. You tip it onto the little brazier. It takes time, but you do not mind time. You tend the coals gently with a small fan. They respond like old friends, flickering, settling, warming. You watch the steam begin to rise and breathe it in. There's dried ginger in a cloth packet beside the tea. Not much, just a sliver, but enough. It wakes the senses gently, like being nudged by a cat's paw. Through the thin doorway, light grows stronger. You unlatch the wooden screen and step out. The garden is small, fenced with crooked sticks, cluttered with cabbages, scallions, and a few rogue shoots of wild mustard. There are dew beads on every leaf. The earth smells alive. Earthy. Damp. Familiar. The chickens are still sleeping under the coop's thatch. A single cat, the yellow one with the torn ear, stares at you from the roof beam and blinks slowly, disapprovingly, before curling tighter. You sit on the step, holding your warm cup, and just breathe. Far away, a flute is playing. Just a few notes, rising and falling with the slope of the hills. Someone you'll never meet, playing for no one in particular. And yet, it feels like it's for you. You sip the tea. It's not perfect. A little too bitter this time. But the bitterness suits the morning, the way it clings to your tongue and reminds you that you are here. Alive. In this body. In this moment. A peasant, maybe. Or a clerk. It doesn't matter. You're no one special, but the sky is still the same one that shines over emperors. You finish the tea, slowly, and stare at the mist crawling down from the pines. Today will be a day like any other, but today is still enough. And so you begin. You step down from the wooden platform of your modest home, your bare feet brushing the cool dirt of the morning path. It's not really a road, not really anything official. Just a narrow foot trail worn smooth by your own footsteps, and those of your neighbors, and the quiet pads of stray animals moving through the early fog. The mist still clings to everything, pale and fine like woven gauze. It softens the angles of the world, blurs the trees at the edge of the fields, and gives every sound a gentle echo, as if the earth is reluctant to wake too quickly. You carry a basket now. Empty for the moment, but soon to be filled with whatever the land offers you today. Not riches, not luxuries. Just the small things, bitter greens, maybe, wild scallions, a curled root or two if you're lucky. Some mornings the old peach tree by the shrine drops something early, though mostly that's a midsummer gift. The path winds east, toward the hillside, where the stream trickles down from the rocks above. You can hear it even before you see it, a whispering, gliding sound, delicate as silk slipping through fingers. It's always there, always flowing, a constant companion in a world that so often shifts without warning. The emperors change, taxes rise and fall, but the stream keeps its song. You nod as you pass the boundary stone. It's barely a rock, really, but you've always acknowledged it. Your grandmother did too. She told you the spirit of the land likes to be greeted, not praised, not worshipped, just noticed. And so you notice. Beyond the stone, the pines begin, tall and still, their needles dense enough to hush the breeze. You enter their shade and the light changes, less white now, more greenish, more filtered. A few birds flit through the upper branches, unseen but heard. Their cries are sharp, sudden, then gone. The forest here is not deep, but it is old. The trunks are wide and cracked, and moss drapes over stones like forgotten robes. You find the fallen log, the one you sometimes sit on when your back aches, and pause there briefly, adjusting the strap of your basket. Your shoulders are already beginning to feel the weight of the day, even if the basket is still empty. But there is peace here too, an older peace, the kind that has nothing to prove. You stoop to gather a cluster of tiny mushrooms that grow near the roots of an elm. They're pale, moon-colored, and they break clean from the soil. Not much, but they'll add flavor to the broth later. You place them carefully in the basket and stand slowly. You're careful not to disturb the patch too much. These woods give what they give, and nothing more. Greed is punished quietly here, not with curses, but with emptiness. Further up, you reach the stream. The water is crystal clear, skimming over the stones with effortless elegance. You crouch and rinse your hands in it, then splash your face again, more fully this time. The cold stings, then fades, then refreshes. You drink directly from the cupped palm, tasting the faint trace of minerals, the memory of mountain snow far above your reach. There's a flat stone nearby where you sometimes sit to rest, and today you do just that. From here, you can see the rise of the hills behind your village. Low clouds drift across their shoulders. Somewhere beyond them, maybe a few hundred li away, the capital city thrums with politics and power, but none of that touches you. You're too far, too ordinary, too quiet. And in some way, that's the deepest freedom you know. You sit in the silence for a long time. Long enough for your legs to go numb beneath you. Long enough for the shadow of a hawk to pass overhead. Long enough for your thoughts to slow to a trickle, like the stream beside you. There's no need to rush. No schedule. Just the shape of the day unfolding itself like a scroll you've read 1,000 times before. Eventually you rise. The basket isn't full yet, but neither is the day. There's still time. Always time, if you move gently enough. You turn back down the path, leaving the stream behind, carrying its sound with you like a song that lingers after the flute is put away. The trail is yours again. The mist thins. The sky lightens. And still, the world asks nothing of you but this. Keep walking. Keep noticing. Keep living quietly. You return home just as the first hints of moisture begin to gather in the air. Not yet rain, but the sort of deepening dampness that clings to the edges of wooden beams and breathes softly across your skin. The path back from the stream is slick with moss in places, though you tread it with the practiced care of someone who has walked it thousands of times. The air feels heavier than it did at dawn, as if the clouds have decided, all at once, to press themselves downward toward the fields, toward the rooftops, toward you. As you cross the threshold of your quiet home, you are greeted not by words or sound, but by stillness, a comforting silence that has settled in the wooden bones of the house, in the fibers of the hanging mat near the door, in the grooves of the floor worn smooth by generations of soft-footed steps. You slide the door closed behind you, not quickly, not with any abrupt motion, but with the same slow deliberation you apply to most things in your life, the way one pours tea, or folds cloth, or listens to a passing bird without needing to identify it. The basket in your hand is only half full, which is precisely enough. You place it on the low table beside the window, brushing a few stray pine needles from the rim, and sit cross-legged on the mat that has shaped itself to your body over time. There is no fire yet. The hearth remains cold, and the pot beside it is dry, but there is no urgency to correct that. The day is long, and its middle hours are meant for slow thoughts and quiet labors. You reach for the inkstone with fingers that remember its weight better than your mind ever could. The stone is smooth, carved with gentle swirls worn faint by years of grinding, its surface still cool despite the warmth that lingers faintly in the air. The ink stick you take next has been yours for so long that its corners have rounded with use, the once proud characters on its sides dulled to mere suggestion. It smells faintly of soot and dried resin, a scent you have come to associate not with writing itself, but with the calm that precedes it. Pouring a small measure of water into the shallow basin of the stone, you begin to grind, not hurriedly, not forcefully, but with a gentle, circular pressure that coaxes pigment into being rather than demands it. The ink does not rush to form. It blooms slowly beneath your hand like something living, darkening gradually with each pass of the stick, deepening in shade and in scent. The act is so familiar to you that your body moves almost without your notice, like breathing, like walking beneath trees whose names you never learn but whose shadows you know by heart. It is during this rhythm, this quiet, almost monastic movement of stone and water and stick, that the first sound of rain makes itself known. It arrives not as a downpour, not as drama, but as a soft, tentative series of taps upon the thatched roof overhead. You pause, inkstick still resting lightly in your hand, and tilt your head slightly toward the window. The sound is delicate, almost uncertain, like someone testing whether the world is ready to be touched. And then, without fanfare, the sound gathers weight. The rain begins in earnest, not heavy, not urgent, but with the steady confidence of something ancient. You do not rise to shut the window. Instead, you remain seated, continuing to grind, your hand moving slower now, in time with the rain that begins to thread itself into the fibers of the day. Outside, the garden darkens slightly under the shifting sky, and the pine needles catch droplets that tremble, then fall, then vanish into the soil. The scent of wet earth begins to rise, that deep, rounded smell of roots and stone and memory, as if the ground has exhaled after holding its breath for too long. You take it in without comment, without praise. You have lived through enough rains to know that each one is both the same and not, and that to name it too quickly is to miss its texture. Beside you lies the brush, not new, but carefully maintained, its tip trimmed just last week, its bristles soft yet springy. You dip it lightly into the ink you've prepared, watching the dark liquid soak upward into the hairs, and then you turn to the paper laid out on the low writing table. The first stroke is not hesitant, though it is gentle. You do not write anything urgent, anything important. These are not words for others. These are lines to shape the hand and calm the mind, verses from memory, or phrases from old texts that have followed you since childhood, their meanings shifting with the seasons. Outside, the rain strengthens briefly, drumming softly against the eaves and pooling in the corners of the tiled courtyard beyond. The rhythm is pleasing, not constant, not chaotic, but varied enough to lull the ear. You continue writing, your breath slowing, your shoulders lowering. The world has shrunk to this moment, this scent of ink, the whisper of the brush across the paper, the muted thunder of rain beyond the window. You pause between stanzas not to think, but to listen, to exist inside the space where no answer is required. The kind of stillness that only rain can bring, the kind that holds everything without explanation. You sip your tea, now cold but still fragrant, and you return to the paper again, not to finish anything, but to continue. And as the rain falls, and the ink darkens, and the room fills with the hush of water and words, you begin to feel that old, familiar truth again. That peace is not something found, or made, or summoned. It is something noticed, something allowed. And today, in the quiet rhythm of writing beside the open window, you have allowed it. The brush moves again. The rain does too. And neither asks for more than your presence. The rain has passed, though its presence lingers, in the darkened soil beneath the trees, in the gentle dripping of water from tiled eaves, and in the freshened scent of moss that clings to the stones lining the narrow path outside your home. Morning has returned with a quiet kind of light, not the sharp brilliance of a cloudless day but something softer, filtered through a mist that still hangs low in the hollows of the land, as if the earth is not quite ready to release its dreams. Today you decide to walk. Not for necessity, not to fetch anything, not to complete a task. You walk because the hill calls to you, the one with the old cypress trees and the crooked path that winds like a forgotten melody toward the humble hut of the tea master. You do not see him often, but when you do, your spirit is left lighter, your thoughts less tangled. And so, without hurry, you gather a small offering, a wrapped cloth bundle of dried plum slices and the last of the spring-dried chrysanthemum petals, and begin your ascent. The path to his dwelling is narrow, worn, and steep in places, though your feet know every uneven step by heart. Ferns crowd the edges now, thick with rain, and the occasional bird darts overhead with a flutter of wings that stirs the silence rather than breaks it. The higher you climb, the more distant the world below becomes, not in distance alone, but in weight. The burdens of the morning, if you ever carried any, seem to peel away with each breath you draw in, each stone you pass underfoot. The tea master's hut appears slowly, never all at once, first the low stone wall, then the curve of the tiled roof peeking through branches, and finally the whole of it, modest and quiet, with a small wooden bench where sunlight now rests like a cat, stretched long and golden. Smoke curls upward from the tiny chimney, a single ribbon of gray that disappears almost immediately into the sky. You find him outside, crouched low beside a patch of lemon balm, fingers moving through the leaves with the careful attention of someone who hears plants better than he hears people. He does not look up immediately, but there is no need. He sensed your approach before your foot reached the first root of the hill. "Ah," he says finally, rising with the grace of a man who has long since abandoned haste. "The weather brings visitors more honest than invitations ever could." You smile and bow, and he returns the gesture with a nod as fluid as the pouring of water. He gestures toward the doorway with an open palm, and you follow him inside, ducking your head slightly, though you've done so many times before. The hut is unchanged. It never changes. The scent of roasted tea leaves and sandalwood lives in the very walls. Everything here seems built not merely with hands, but with silence. A low table worn smooth, shelves lined with mismatched cups, the faint clink of porcelain lids beside the window where sunlight gathers in a soft, forgiving pool. You hand him the bundle, and he receives it with both palms, not speaking for a moment, simply breathing in the gift, the scent of dried plum, the memory of late spring petals. He nods once more. Eyes creased in appreciation that says more than words would dare to. He prepares tea without commentary. You do not speak either. There is no need. The ritual is everything, not a performance, but a practice, lived rather than shown. Water is ladled from a pot still warm from the morning fire, poured into a small clay kettle, and brought to a near boil that sings softly but never hisses. Tea leaves, deep, curled, almost black, are scooped from a jar carved with calligraphy so faded it seems to dissolve in the light. He warms the cups first, then discards the rinse into a stone basin just outside the door, letting it fall onto thirsty soil. The first brew is poured. You do not gulp it. No one ever does. You inhale it, let the steam climb toward your face, let it tell you the season, the soil, the labor of the hands that once plucked it, leaf by leaf, on some distant slope where mist curls like it does here. You sip slowly, and the flavor is deep, mineral and floral, with a hint of charcoal, like the echo of something ancient remembered on the tongue. He watches you for a moment, then sips his own. Only after the second cup does he speak again. "I heard the frogs last night," he says quietly, as if telling you a secret he doesn't want the air to carry too far. "They always sing more sweetly just after a gentle rain, as if they, too, are grateful that nothing fell too hard." You nod, and for a while, you both sit there, sharing tea in the kind of silence that only those who are no longer strangers to solitude can enjoy together. Outside, the wind rises slightly, enough to rustle the high branches but not enough to disturb the world. Somewhere, a bamboo chime makes a lazy song. Later, when the tea grows lighter in color, and the leaves have unfurled fully in the pot, you help him gather a few sprigs of herbs from his garden, not because he asks, but because you know the rhythm of the day, and it would feel strange not to. He speaks little, but his presence is a kind of instruction. In his calmness, you remember your own. You leave before the sun shifts too far west, carrying nothing but the taste of good tea and the warmth of stillness shared. He watches you go from the bench, not waving, not calling after you, just watching, as he always does, as the hill itself does. And as you descend the winding path, with cypress shadows growing longer around your feet, you do not hurry. You carry the day gently. You carry it the way steam rises, lightly, and only when you let go. The morning comes not as a sudden brightness, but as a slow, steady revealing, the mist peeling back from the trees, the pale outlines of the distant hills emerging like old ink from damp parchment, and the quiet songs of field crickets rising into something almost like music. You wake not because you must, but because the world stirs gently around you, nudging you with the rustle of wet leaves and the distant, rhythmical tapping of water dripping from the edge of your roof. The scent of wet earth, of warm wood, and of early morning rice steam fills your room. You eat only a few mouthfuls, quietly, listening to the old pot on the stove hiss its slow breath as it cools. The day promises no demands, only the possibility of motion, and you decide to walk to the rice terraces, not for work, not for obligation, but because the body sometimes needs to remember what the land feels like when it gives way underfoot. You leave your sandals behind. The earth is still wet from yesterday's rain, and the path that leads from your home down to the valley has become soft and forgiving, like a sponge soaked with time. As you step out, the mud gathers quickly between your toes, warm, slick, and oddly comforting, like returning to something you had forgotten you were part of. With each step there is a sound, a quiet suction, a low slurp, the sound of walking not on land, but in it. The terraces lie just beyond the low bridge, stacked like the folds of a sleeping dragon, layer upon layer of mirrored green and sky. Water glimmers across the flat surfaces in long, shallow pools, interrupted only by the swaying of thin rice stalks and the occasional ripple from a frog leaping in unseen places. The morning clouds have begun to lift, and the air smells of moss, slow-growing algae, and something almost metallic, the scent of standing water dreaming in the sun. You begin your walk along the narrow ridges that separate the tiers, balancing not carefully, but naturally, as if your body remembers the feeling even when your thoughts drift elsewhere. The mud on your feet cools now, wet clay pressing into the arches, the toes, the heels, until the ground and your steps feel indistinguishable. You look down and see your reflection in the water beside you, fragmented, distorted, but unmistakably present, as if the field itself is regarding you in return. Dragonflies skim the surface here and there, their wings catching the light like shards of mica or shattered porcelain. You hear the faint voices of other villagers in the distance, but they do not reach you clearly, and you do not need them to. The world is speaking in other ways, in the buzz of insects, in the trickle of water moving from terrace to terrace, in the echo of a bird calling out from somewhere just beyond the hill's shoulder. The sun is rising now, higher, casting long reflections across the water. You pass a scarecrow leaning in the field like an old monk in meditation, its straw body tied with faded red ribbons, fluttering slightly in the morning breeze. Someone has tucked a flower behind one of its leaves. You pause to add another, a small wild bloom you pull from the path's side, not because the scarecrow needs it, but because the act itself feels right. You keep walking. The mud deepens in places, and your calves grow speckled with droplets. You let it happen. You are not separate from this place today. The rice, the water, the frogs, the dragonflies, you are all part of the same slow motion, the same season that unfolds in no particular rush. Eventually you stop beneath a tree growing at the corner of one of the higher terraces, a place where a rock juts out just enough to sit comfortably, where the breeze rises gently from the valley. You sit and watch the wind move over the flooded fields, rippling the surfaces like the breath of a sleeping giant. You feel the sun drying the tops of your feet, leaving behind traces of clay that crack slightly as you flex your toes. And in that moment, without needing anything to happen, without needing to think or say or go, you feel entirely full, as if your body has absorbed enough of the morning to carry the rest of the day in silence. There is no hurry to return, and so you do not. You lean back against the warm stone, and you simply remain, listening to the sound of water shifting below and the soft hum of life that never stops, even when it grows quiet. The evening descends slowly, like a soft silk robe settling over the shoulders of the village, wrapping everything in deepening hues of indigo and twilight purple, colors that blur and bleed into one another, as if painted with the brush of some invisible artist. The sky holds the last light of day faintly, a pale ember that slowly fades behind the distant mountains. The air is cool and fragrant, thick with the delicate scent of jasmine and osmanthus, their blooms just opening to the night, sending tendrils of sweetness drifting gently on the breeze that moves in soft sighs through the narrow streets and alleys. You find your feet guided without haste toward the river, that timeless silver ribbon carving its way past ancient wooden houses with paper windows glowing faintly from within. The lanterns have begun their slow awakening along the banks, each one a small beacon of warm, trembling light, a fragile orb of paper and flame that seems to pulse softly like the heartbeat of the village itself. Your hands cradle a lantern carefully, the wooden frame worn smooth from years of use, its red paper adorned with delicate painted cherry blossoms and faded, curling calligraphy, a gift from a dear friend who once whispered a wish into its flame. The cobblestone path beneath your sandals is cool and slightly damp, the stones worn by countless footsteps that have traced this route over generations. You hear the distant murmur of voices, the rise and fall of laughter. The soft cadence of folk songs carried lightly on the breeze, echoing faintly from the central square where the villagers gather to celebrate the Lantern Festival, a tradition older than the memory of most living souls, a night when the spirits of ancestors are honored, and hopes are sent adrift on the flowing water. Children, bright-eyed and buoyant with excitement, dart past you, their cheeks flushed with cold and joy. They clutch tiny lanterns shaped like koi fish, dragons, and lotus flowers, their paper bodies glowing with warm light that flickers and dances with every bounce of their eager steps. Their shadows leap and twist on the walls of houses, forming fleeting stories of fire and shadow that seem almost alive, as if the very night itself has come to play with them. At the edge of the river, you kneel on the wooden pier, its surface smooth and worn from years of use, the grain of the planks soft beneath your palms. You carefully strike a match, the flame sputtering briefly before catching the candle inside your lantern, its light growing steadily until it becomes a tiny sun held within fragile paper walls. The flame flickers as the wind breathes softly, a living, breathing thing that pulses gently in time with your heartbeat, delicate, vulnerable, but unwavering in its glow. You release the lantern onto the surface of the water, and it begins to drift slowly, carried by the current that flows silently past your fingers. Around you, hundreds of other lanterns float as well, a shimmering procession of lights moving together in solemn harmony. They bob and sway with the gentle waves, each one a whispered prayer, a secret hope, or a silent remembrance sent out into the vast unknown, carrying the dreams of all who have set them afloat. The river becomes a living constellation, a flowing galaxy of soft flames reflecting in the water like stars fallen from the sky to illuminate the darkness. The sound of water lapping softly against the wooden posts, the gentle rustling of silk robes, and the distant resonance of a gong mark the passage of the evening, punctuating the quiet reverence that has settled over the festival. Nearby, incense smoke curls upward in delicate spirals from a small shrine, mingling with the honeyed aroma of tea simmering in ceramic pots on festival stalls, where villagers offer warm cups and sweet rice cakes to visitors passing by. The laughter of elders sharing stories drifts through the air, mingling with the shy footsteps of lovers walking hand in hand beneath the lantern-lit trees, their faces aglow with reflected firelight. As you sit at the water's edge, watching the lanterns drift farther into the night, their flames growing smaller but no less radiant, you feel the slow, steady pulse of the world around you, the rhythm of time slowing to match the gentle flow of the river, the ancient dance of water, light, and shadow weaving a tapestry of quiet wonder. You close your eyes for a moment, letting the warmth of the lantern's glow seep into your chest, a fragile flame kindled inside you that will outlast the dark. When you finally rise and begin to walk back through the village, the path feels softer somehow, as if the river's light still clings to your footsteps, guiding you gently home. There is no hurry in your steps, no need to rush, only the calm certainty that this night, like so many before it, will live on in the quiet memory of light floating on water, carrying the hopes and dreams of 1,000 hearts into the endless dark. The morning mist still clings to the rolling hills as you set out from your humble home, the soft earth damp beneath your straw sandals. The path to the porcelain kiln winds through slender bamboo groves, their tall stalks whispering secrets with every breeze. The air carries a mixture of fresh dew, crushed leaves, and the faint, lingering aroma of fired clay, pulling you forward toward your place of work. The kiln's great earthen mound rises steadily ahead, its curved face shadowed but alive, as if breathing with the slow pulse of the flames hidden deep within. You pause a moment at the workshop's open doorway, watching the master potter already busy at his wheel. Hands moving with years of practiced ease, coaxing shapeless lumps of earth into delicate forms that defy the roughness of their origin. His eyes briefly meet yours, calm but piercing, a silent reminder of the exacting discipline this craft demands. You bow low, humbling yourself to the work and the long tradition it carries. Centuries of labor, patience, and quiet pride distilled into every cup, every vase, every fragile shard of porcelain. Your first task begins with the clay, soft, cold, and dense, a humble piece of the earth waiting to be transformed. As your fingers sink into the damp mass, you feel a connection that is almost sacred, the soil's rough grit grounding you even as it yields under your touch. The clay must be prepared with care. Any air trapped inside will spell disaster when the kiln's fierce heat presses down. You wedge and knead, pressing, folding, and turning the clay repeatedly, the rhythmic motion a kind of meditation. Your muscles tire but your mind sharpens, learning to listen to the subtle changes in texture and temperature, sensing the difference between pliable and stubborn earth. The potter's wheel creaks beneath your foot as you set it spinning, slow and steady. Balancing your weight, you guide the turning lump of clay, fingers firm but gentle, coaxing its shape upward. A bowl, a cup, a slender vase with a neck so thin it seems impossible it won't break. The clay is unyielding at times, threatening to collapse with every careless movement. Your hands grow sticky, coated in wet gray mud, yet the satisfaction when the form begins to emerge is like nothing else. Time seems to fold in on itself as you focus entirely on the wheel's steady hum, the soft sound of water dripping from your hands, and the gentle swirl of the wet earth spinning beneath your palms. Between shaping sessions, you move to the glazing area, where powders and slips of white and blue await. With a fine brush, you delicately apply the cobalt glaze, the deep blue bleeding slowly into the smooth surface like ink spilled on silk. Each stroke carries the weight of tradition, a careful balance between precision and artistry, a dance between control and the unpredictable flame that will transform the piece. You watch as the glaze catches the light, swirling and pooling, creating patterns that seem to hold their own stories, ancient and new. The kiln itself dominates the workshop, a vast, domed oven of brick and earth, the mouth dark and yawning like the entrance to some fiery cavern. You assist in loading the kiln, carefully placing each fragile vessel with meticulous care, making sure none touch or overlap, knowing that even the slightest collision during firing could spell ruin. The air grows thick with heat and the smell of burning wood as the master kindles the fire, feeding the flames with dried branches and twigs gathered from the nearby forest. The roar of the blaze fills the space, the heat rising in waves that ripple through your skin, harsh but alive, a fierce guardian of transformation. As the day drifts toward dusk, you sit outside near the kiln, sweat cooling on your brow, muscles aching but alive with purpose. The master recounts stories of ancient dynasties and imperial courts, where porcelain cups like those you helped shape are treasured as symbols of status and beauty. You imagine the journey these delicate vessels will take, across rivers and mountains, into grand palaces and humble homes alike, carrying the quiet artistry of your village into the wider world. The sun slips below the horizon, painting the sky in deep reds and purples, while the first stars wink awake overhead. The village settles into calm, the sounds of daily labor fading into the soft murmur of night insects and distant temple bells. You rise slowly, brushing clay from your hands, feeling the quiet pride of your day's work settle deep inside. Tomorrow will bring new lessons, new challenges, and the slow, steady shaping of your skill, the patient crafting of not just porcelain, but yourself. As you make your way back along the bamboo-lined path toward your home, the cool evening air fills your lungs and the lanterns in the village begin to glow softly, each one a beacon of warmth and hope against the coming night. The river's gentle murmur follows you, a reminder that, like the flowing water and the glowing lanterns, your journey is ongoing, a quiet unfolding in the vast and beautiful tapestry of this ancient land. The day has settled into a gentle warmth, the sun having climbed to its zenith, spilling golden light over the patchwork rooftops of the village and casting long, dappled shadows beneath the trees. After the steady rhythm of the morning spent at the kiln, your body aches with the kind of pleasant tiredness that only comes from honest labor. Each muscle seems to hum softly, a quiet reminder of the craft you are slowly mastering. Your thoughts wander as you step away from the noisy bustle of the workshop and wander toward a place you know well, the secluded garden of plum trees, a sanctuary that seems untouched by time or the worries of the world. You cross a narrow path lined with smooth river stones, worn by countless footsteps over the years, their surfaces mottled with moss and tiny, delicate flowers that have taken root in the cracks. The air is cooler here, the heavy heat of midday tempered by the shade of towering trees whose branches reach out like ancient arms cradling the earth beneath. The plum trees stand in quiet clusters, their twisted trunks and gnarled branches testament to decades, perhaps centuries, of growth and resilience. Pale pink blossoms flutter softly in the light breeze, each petal thin as silk and faintly fragrant, their delicate scent weaving through the air like a gentle promise of renewal. You step carefully across the soft carpet of moss, feeling the cool earth beneath your bare feet. The ground is uneven, peppered with fallen petals and the occasional smooth pebble, but the softness of the moss cushions your steps, inviting you deeper into this peaceful refuge. You find your favorite spot beneath the largest plum tree, its broad branches heavy with clusters of blossoms, the rough bark warm from the sun but comforting under your fingertips. Here, you lay down your woven mat, the fibers rough but familiar, and stretch out fully, feeling the weight of your body sink into the earth as if the world itself is holding you gently. Closing your eyes, you breathe deeply, inhaling the mingling aromas of plum blossoms, fresh grass, and the faint hint of wood smoke from distant hearths. The air is filled with subtle sounds, the gentle rustling of leaves overhead, a bird's melodious call far off in the branches, the distant murmur of village life carried on the wind. Each breath slows your racing thoughts, drawing you into a calm, meditative state where the troubles of yesterday and the worries of tomorrow seem to fade away, leaving only this quiet moment of stillness. The sunlight filters through the branches, casting shifting patterns of light and shadow on your skin, dappling your face with warmth and coolness in an ever-changing mosaic. You feel the slow rise and fall of your chest, the steady rhythm of your heartbeat syncing with the soft sway of the branches above. Time seems to stretch and slow, the world narrowing to the gentle sounds and scents of the garden, the soft cradle of earth beneath you, and the tender embrace of the plum tree's shade. As you drift further into this peaceful reverie, the scent of the blossoms grows sweeter, mingling with the faint earthiness of the soil and the subtle hint of distant rain on the wind. Petals occasionally detach from the branches, fluttering down like pale pink snowflakes, some resting lightly on your skin or the ground around you. The cool breeze carries these gentle fragments, spinning them slowly in the air before they settle, creating a delicate carpet of blossoms that cushions the earth beneath your resting form. Your mind wanders through memories of simpler days, the laughter of children playing in the fields, the soft murmur of the river nearby, the patient guidance of the master potter at the kiln. You recall the feeling of wet clay slipping through your fingers, the intense heat of the kiln's fire, the satisfaction of shaping a perfect curve on the wheel. These memories blend seamlessly with dreams of far-off places and times, painting vivid scenes in your mind's eye that float like lanterns in the twilight. A sense of profound connection settles over you, a feeling that you are part of something far larger, the endless cycle of seasons, the patient growth of trees, the flow of rivers, and the enduring craft passed down through generations. In this moment beneath the plum trees, you are both small and infinite, fragile yet resilient, a single note in the timeless melody of the land. Slowly, as the sun begins its slow descent, painting the sky in hues of amber and rose, you awaken from your nap, feeling a deep sense of renewal. The world feels softer, more vibrant, as if the garden itself has breathed new life into your spirit. You rise carefully, brushing petals from your clothes and feeling the comforting ache of rest in your limbs. With one last glance at the blooming trees, their petals now glowing softly in the evening light, you step back through the garden gate, the latch clicking gently behind you. The village welcomes you once more, bathed in the warm glow of sunset, its lanterns beginning to flicker like fireflies in the growing dusk. You carry the quiet peace of the garden within you, a secret light to guide you through the coming night and the days ahead. The soft morning mist still clings to the emerald hills as you begin your slow walk along the winding path that leads away from the familiar sights and sounds of your village. Each step presses gently against the damp earth, the air around you crisp and fragrant with the scent of pine needles, moist soil, and wild herbs that grow abundantly in the shaded forest. The path narrows and curves beneath a canopy of towering cypress trees whose slender trunks rise like silent pillars, their branches whispering secrets to one another as the faint breeze moves through them. The world feels hushed and reverent, as if it itself holds its breath in anticipation of what lies ahead. Far before you, nestled within the trees like a treasure hidden for centuries, the ancient temple emerges from the mist, its dark wooden beams worn smooth by countless seasons of rain, wind, and sun. The tiled roof curves upward at its eaves, decorated with delicate carvings of dragons twisting in eternal dance and phoenixes poised to take flight, their graceful forms etched in intricate detail that speaks of masterful craftsmanship and deep reverence for the divine. Climbing wisteria vines trail their pale lavender blossoms along the wooden pillars, their delicate petals fluttering in the gentle breeze like whispered prayers to forgotten gods. The temple feels as though it belongs to another age altogether, untouched by the relentless march of time or the busy hum of village life just beyond the trees. Its quiet grandeur breathes a serene calm, a timeless stillness that settles deep into your bones the moment you cross the threshold. The wooden floor beneath your feet is worn and creaks faintly as you step inside, the sound breaking the silence like a soft greeting from the spirits said to linger here. At the center of the main hall hangs the great bronze bell, enormous and aged, its surface mottled with verdigris and the marks of time. Despite its imposing presence, the bell remains silent. It has not rung for decades. Some say it has never rung at all since the temple's founding. Others whisper that the bell is waiting for a moment that will never come. The clapper hangs still, motionless beside the bell's curved inner wall, untouched by human hand or earthly sound. You reach out and run your fingers lightly over the cool metal, feeling the faint pulse of history embedded in every groove and dent, as if the bell holds within it all the prayers, hopes, and sorrows of those who came here seeking solace and enlightenment. Before the altar, a single candle flickers steadily, its golden light dancing softly across polished jade statues of ancient deities whose serene faces seem to watch over the temple with eternal compassion and quiet wisdom. The air is thick with the fragrant smoke of incense coils burning slowly, their gentle tendrils curling upward like invisible threads connecting earth and heaven. The scent, a blend of sandalwood, pine resin, and dried herbs, wraps around you like a comforting cloak, grounding you in this sacred space that feels both fragile and everlasting. You kneel on the smooth wooden floor, the grain cool beneath your knees, and close your eyes, letting the silence envelop you like a deep river. Inside, your thoughts settle gently, like autumn leaves drifting slowly to the ground, each one carrying a memory, a question, or a quiet prayer. You breathe in rhythm with the soft flicker of the candle's flame, and for a moment, the boundary between yourself and the centuries of monks who came before you seems to dissolve. You sense their presence in the quiet breath of the temple, in the worn stone steps outside, in the whispered chants once sung here, and in the unbroken stillness of the bell. Outside, the wind stirs the cypress branches, sending shifting shadows across the temple floor that seem to dance in time with the rising sun's first warm rays. Light filters through papered windows, soft and hazy, illuminating tiny dust motes that drift slowly like fragile spirits suspended in the air. The whole temple seems to breathe, alive with quiet energy and the patient waiting of countless generations. In this sacred stillness, time itself seems to slow, stretching out to fill the space between heartbeats. The bell's silence is not emptiness. It is a deep, resonant quiet that holds a wisdom beyond words, a sacred pause where the past and present meet. Here, you learn that silence can be louder than any sound, carrying with it a message of patience, reverence, and eternal calm. Eventually, you rise slowly, the feeling of the wooden floor giving way beneath your feet as you stand. You take one last, lingering look at the great bell, its dark surface glowing faintly in the soft light, before stepping back through the temple's carved wooden doors. The latch clicks shut behind you with a finality that echoes softly into the morning. The path back to your village feels somehow lighter, the air sweeter with the lingering scent of incense and blossoms. As you walk down the hillside, the sun now breaking fully through the mist and painting the fields and river below in warm golds and greens, you carry with you a deep and peaceful quiet, the sound of a bell that never rang, yet still speaks to your heart. The morning greets you gently as you step barefoot onto the cool, smooth stone courtyard of the temple. The air is crisp and tinged with the earthy scent of damp leaves and ancient wood. Around you, the world seems wrapped in a quilt of golden amber and rust as autumn's hand has painted the fallen leaves in vibrant hues, scattering them across the worn flagstones like precious, delicate jewels left behind by the passing season. The sky above is pale and soft, promising a day of quiet labor and mindful stillness. Near the edge of the courtyard stands the old monk, his thin frame wrapped in simple robes that have faded to a soft ochre over countless years of service. His face is a map of time itself, etched with deep lines that tell stories of patience, wisdom, and enduring calm. His eyes, however, remain bright and clear, reflecting the quiet strength of someone who has learned to listen to the world with more than just his ears. He offers you a bamboo broom, worn smooth by years of gentle sweeps, its bristles fanning out like a brushstroke on silk. You take it in your hands, feeling the familiar weight and texture, a humble tool yet one that holds a special place in this sacred space. Together you begin to sweep the fallen leaves, your movements slow and deliberate, each stroke a soft whisper against the stone, a meditation in motion. The rhythm of sweeping becomes a quiet conversation between you and the old monk, wordless yet deeply meaningful. As you work side by side, the crunch of brittle leaves beneath the broom blends with the soft rustling of distant branches and the occasional chirp of a hidden bird. There is a sacredness to this simple task, a ritual that grounds you in the present moment and connects you to the cycle of nature unfolding around you. With every sweep, the courtyard reveals itself anew, patches of moss clinging stubbornly between the stones. Small wildflowers peeking shyly from crevices, and the subtle shimmer of morning dew catching the light like tiny diamonds. You notice the intricate patterns carved into the wooden beams of the temple porch, worn smooth by countless hands that have come before, each one leaving an invisible imprint on this place of stillness. The old monk pauses for a moment, leaning lightly on his broom, his eyes closed as he inhales the crisp air. He then turns to you with a gentle smile, his voice soft and steady like the flow of a tranquil stream. In sweeping away the old leaves, we make room for new growth, he says quietly. Just as in life, we must let go of what no longer serves us to welcome fresh beginnings. You nod, feeling the truth of his words settle deep within your heart. The act of cleaning, once seen as mere labor, now reveals itself as a sacred practice, an expression of respect for the world, for the temple, and for yourself. Each leaf swept away is a small release, a step closer to clarity and peace. As the morning sun climbs higher, the courtyard slowly transforms. The scattered leaves gather into neat piles, golden heaps glowing warmly in the light. You and the monk continue in companionable silence, your breath steady, your minds calm. Time seems to stretch and soften, the outside world falling away until only this moment of quiet connection remains. When the work is done, the old monk sets aside his broom and bows deeply to you, a gesture of gratitude and shared understanding. You bow in return, feeling the gentle warmth of a bond forged not in words but in mindful presence and shared purpose. Before you leave the courtyard, you pause to look back at the temple, its wooden beams now framed by the clear blue sky, the courtyard clean and bright, a testament to the care and devotion poured into this place by those who cherish its stillness. The simple act of sweeping fallen leaves has become a meditation, A reminder that even the smallest tasks can carry the weight of meaning when done with intention and heart. With a final glance at the old monk, who now moves slowly toward the temple doors, you step forward with a quiet sense of renewal, carrying the gentle lesson of the morning with you as the day unfolds. As dawn's soft light begins to spill over the rolling hills, you make your way down the narrow path leading to the river's edge. The world around you is just stirring awake. Distant birds begin their tentative songs, and the gentle rustle of leaves blends with the faint murmur of flowing water. The air is cool but tinged with the promise of warmth to come, carrying the scent of moist earth and blossoming wildflowers that line the banks. At the river, the water gleams like liquid glass, reflecting the pale blush of morning clouds and the delicate silhouettes of willows bending gracefully over the surface. This sacred stretch of river has witnessed centuries of artisans practicing the ancient craft of silk dyeing, an art passed down from master to apprentice, each stroke of color infused with intention and care. You settle onto the worn wooden platform that extends just above the water, the planks smooth beneath your feet from generations of careful use. Before you rest large, rounded earthenware bowls, filled with the deep, mesmerizing indigo dye, a shade so rich and profound it feels as if the very essence of twilight night has been captured within. The dye's surface ripples gently with the movement of the breeze, creating shifting patterns of blue that seem alive and breathing. With reverence, you roll up your sleeves and plunge your hands into the cool liquid. The viscous dye wraps your fingers, staining your skin a brilliant, royal blue that seeps slowly beneath your nails. The sensation is both strange and wonderful, a cool touch that lingers and reminds you of the sacred bond between nature and craft. The smell rises faintly, a unique earthy aroma mingled with the faint sweetness of fermented leaves, an invisible testament to the centuries-old processes that have created this very dye. Your fingers deftly dip the fine, delicate silk cloth into the bowls, submerging it fully in the indigo embrace. The silk ripples and folds in the water like living shadows, soaking up the color with an almost hungry thirst. As you pull the fabric back up, droplets shimmer in the morning light, falling like tiny blue jewels back into the bowl. The transformation is gradual, enchanting, from the pale cream of raw silk to deepening shades of blue, each thread telling its own story of patience and transformation. Around you, the river's gentle current carries away stray leaves and petals, while further along the bank, other artisans busy themselves with weaving, spinning, and stitching. Their hands move with practiced grace, their laughter light and musical, lending the scene a warmth that balances the coolness of the water. The air hums softly with the sounds of creation, the rhythmic slap of fabric, the soft scrape of tools, the occasional murmur of shared stories. You pause to watch the interplay of light and color as the silk dries on bamboo racks, the fabric shimmering with an almost ethereal glow. The subtle variations in indigo shades tell of your skill, the dips and folds, the thickness of each layer, and the delicate patterns you've coaxed into being with your careful hands. This is not merely a craft but a living tradition, an unbroken thread connecting you to the past, to ancestors who worked these same waters, who poured their heart into every piece. The stains of indigo on your hands serve as a badge of honor, a reminder that you have become part of this sacred rhythm. Even as you rinse your fingers in the flowing river, blue hues cling stubbornly to your skin, promising to fade slowly over days, just as memories linger long after moments pass. You find satisfaction in the slow, deliberate work, the harmony of mind, body, and nature coming together in this quiet riverbank ritual. As the sun climbs higher, warming the air and brightening the landscape, you breathe deeply, savoring the mingling scents of water, earth, and silk. The river, timeless and patient, continues its endless journey, much like your craft, flowing steadily forward while honoring the roots that hold you fast. Today, you are not just a maker of beautiful cloth, you are a keeper of stories, a guardian of tradition, weaving your own thread into the vast tapestry of ancient China. You step quietly along the winding stone path that leads deeper into the governor's estate, a sprawling sanctuary nestled among rolling hills and ancient trees. The morning air carries a cool freshness, tinged with the delicate fragrance of jasmine and magnolia blossoms heavy on the branches overhead. Each breath feels like an invitation to slow down, to sink into the gentle rhythm of the garden's timeless peace. The sun, still low but steady in the sky, scatters a soft, golden light over the meticulously tended grounds. Every element of the garden, the carefully placed rocks, the curved wooden bridges arcing over gentle streams, the carpets of moss that cling stubbornly to shaded nooks, has been arranged with reverence and artistry. It is as if the entire estate exists as a living painting, one where nature and human hands have merged to create a perfect harmony. Ahead, the sound of water rippling draws your attention, a quiet, constant murmur that soothes your thoughts and slows the beat of your heart. The governor's pond lies before you, an expansive pool bordered by weeping willows whose slender branches sway lazily, tracing delicate patterns on the glassy surface. The pond's water is so clear that you can see deep beneath the surface, where ancient carp glide like jewels through sunken lotus pads and tangled roots. These carp are no ordinary fish. Their scales flash in brilliant arrays of crimson, gold, and pearly white, each color a symbol of fortune, perseverance, and wisdom. For centuries, these creatures have been cared for by generations of gardeners and artisans who understand that tending to them is a sacred act, one that connects the flow of life, nature, and human destiny. You carry a small basket woven from bamboo, filled with carefully prepared grains and bits of sweet chestnut, gifts to the carp as part of the morning ritual. As you kneel by the water's edge, the soft earth and moss cushion your knees, grounding you in the moment. The cool water laps gently against the stone, inviting you to reach in. Slowly, you dip your hands into the liquid, feeling its chill seep into your skin, sharpening your senses. With a practiced motion, you sprinkle handfuls of food onto the surface. The carp sense this offering immediately, rising gracefully from their watery depths. Their bodies curve elegantly as they swim toward you, mouths opening wide in a synchronized dance. The water breaks with gentle splashes, each ripple a soft percussion in the otherwise hushed garden. You watch, mesmerized, as the fish gather and feast. Their vibrant scales catch the sunlight, sparkling like fragments of liquid gold. A flash of red flickers beneath the water, a fiery flame of life moving through the cool blue. Time seems to stretch as you become a silent observer of this ancient ceremony, one that transcends simple feeding. It is a communion with the past, with ancestors who believed the koi were symbols of strength and transformation, capable of overcoming great odds, much like the river that carves its way through stone. The garden around you is alive with subtle movement. Leaves flutter softly in the breeze, casting fleeting shadows that dance over moss and stone. Nearby, a crane calls, its elegant cry echoing faintly against the hills. The scent of wet earth and blossoming flowers lingers in the air, mingling with the faint aroma of incense wafting from a distant pavilion. That pavilion, with its curved eaves and intricately carved beams, stands as a testament to centuries of culture, each decoration telling stories of dragons soaring in the clouds and phoenixes rising from ashes. Your mind drifts with the ripples on the pond's surface. You think of the artisans who built this garden, those who nurtured the fish, the trees, and the land itself. Their patience, their devotion, a lesson written in every stone path and every carefully pruned branch. This moment, simple as it seems, holds the weight of countless years and countless lives. You reach out again, letting the cool water run over your fingers, watching the blue sky reflected in the rippling surface. The carp continue their graceful ballet beneath you, their movements smooth and purposeful, as if carrying the wisdom of the ages beneath their shining scales. You feel a deep peace settle within you, a connection to this place, this life. and the endless cycles of nature and renewal. Slowly, you rise from the riverbank, brushing your hands on your robe as faint traces of water and earth cling to your skin. The garden remains still and serene, a sanctuary from the world's chaos, a place where time flows gently like the pond itself. You carry with you the quiet lessons of the koi, resilience, grace, and the enduring beauty of life's simplest moments. As you walk back along the stone path, the warmth of the sun grows stronger, the scent of jasmine richer, and the sound of the flowing water fades into a peaceful hum. The governor's pond, with its shining carp and whispering willows, remains etched in your memory, a timeless place where the soul can rest and the heart can remember the harmony between man and nature. As the day begins to soften, the sun slowly dips toward the horizon, painting the sky in muted shades of amber and rose. You find yourself drawn to a small pavilion perched at the edge of the garden, its delicate wooden beams glowing softly in the fading light. The air is cooler now, carrying the subtle chill of approaching evening, mingled with the faint scent of plum blossoms and damp earth. Inside the pavilion, the atmosphere is hushed and reverent. A lone figure sits cross-legged on a woven mat, fingers poised lightly above the strings of a guqin, an ancient seven-string zither whose tones have echoed through Chinese history for over 3,000 years. The musicians' robes flow gently with each measured breath, and their eyes close briefly as if to hear something beyond the world of sight and sound. As the first notes escape the guqin strings, the garden itself seems to hold its breath. The music is soft, delicate, and full of quiet power, like the whisper of wind through bamboo or the gentle ripple of water over stone. Each note is drawn out slowly, resonating deeply, filling the air with a melancholy sweetness that wraps around you like a warm shawl. It is music that speaks of ancient wisdom, of mountains rising and rivers flowing, of seasons turning in endless cycles. You sit quietly nearby, allowing the sound to seep into your bones, to slow your heartbeat and calm your restless mind. The guqin's melodies tell stories without words, tales of scholars who sought solitude in nature, poets who found inspiration in moonlight, and sages who contemplated the mysteries of life beneath the vast sky. You imagine the hands that shaped this very instrument, the craftsmen who carved its elegant curves and stretched its silk strings with care and devotion. As dusk deepens, lanterns are lit around the garden, their soft glow flickering through the pavilion's open sides. Shadows lengthen, and the world grows stiller, as if the music itself is weaving a gentle spell over the fading day. The notes rise and fall in waves, sometimes lingering in the silence between phrases, inviting you to listen not just with your ears but with your whole being. The guqin's voice blends with the sounds of the evening, the distant chirp of cicadas, the rustle of leaves stirred by a cooling breeze, and the faint splash of water in the nearby pond. Together, these elements create a symphony of nature and art, a moment suspended in time where everything feels both fleeting and eternal. You feel a deep connection to this place and its quiet traditions, to the countless souls who have sat where you now sit, finding peace and insight through the simple act of listening. The music becomes a mirror, reflecting your own thoughts and emotions back to you, gently guiding you towards stillness and understanding. As the final notes fade into silence, the pavilion seems to hold a sacred quiet. The musician lowers their hands slowly, eyes opening to meet yours with a serene smile. No words are needed. The music has spoken all that must be said. You rise with a sense of calm and gratitude, carrying the lingering warmth of the guqin's song with you as you step back into the twilight garden. The sky above deepens to a rich indigo, and the first stars begin to twinkle softly, as if joining in the silent hymn of night. Walking away from the pavilion, you carry with you the gift of this moment, a quiet harmony between art, nature, and the eternal flow of time, a gentle lullaby for your restless spirit as night falls gently over the ancient land. You find yourself settling onto the worn wooden bench of the ox cart, the rough planks softened by years of use, the faint scent of aged pine and earth rising from the timber. The cart creaks beneath your weight, swaying gently as the oxen start to move, their steady, rhythmic steps stirring up the dry dust from the narrow dirt road winding through the endless countryside. The sun hangs high, casting a harsh light that blazes down on golden fields stretching far beyond the horizon, where mountains rise like distant sentinels cloaked in a pale blue haze. The air tastes of earth and warmth, mixed with the faint aroma of wild chrysanthemums growing along the roadside. You feel the slow, hypnotic sway of the cart as the oxen plod onward, their breath heavy and steady, the occasional soft grunt mingling with the distant calls of songbirds. Your fingers trail absent-mindedly along the wooden edge, feeling the rough grain beneath your skin, grounding you in the moment. Around you, the landscape unfolds in a tapestry of simple beauty, fields of millet waving like a golden sea, clusters of bamboo whispering secrets to the wind, and ancient gnarled trees casting long shadows that stretch toward the late afternoon. You catch glimpses of villagers working in the fields, their straw hats tilted low, their hands moving deftly with practiced grace as they harvest the season's yield. Every so often, a distant bell tolls from a temple perched on a hilltop, its clear chime echoing across the valleys and adding a sacred rhythm to the journey. As the cart rattles forward, you find your thoughts drifting like the dust stirred beneath the oxen's hooves. You recall verses of poetry you once heard, lines that spoke of the fleeting nature of life, the eternal cycles of nature, and the quiet strength found in enduring hardship with grace. You whisper the words softly under your breath, letting them mingle with the sounds of the cart and the countryside, their melody weaving into the very fabric of the journey. The driver, an elderly man with eyes like polished jet and skin weathered like cracked leather, hums a low tune, a song passed down through generations. His hands grip the reins with a calm confidence, guiding the oxen with gentle commands and occasional soft taps. You watch his face, lined with stories and seasons, and feel a quiet respect for his deep connection to this land and its rhythms. As the sun begins to dip lower, casting the fields in a warm amber glow, the ox cart slows, and you pause at a small village nestled beneath towering cypress trees. The scent of freshly baked bread and simmering herbs drifts from open doorways, promising comfort after a long day's travel. Children run past, laughing and chasing each other with carefree joy, their voices rising like a bright counterpoint to the peaceful scene. You step down from the cart, your legs stiff from the journey but your spirit refreshed by the simple beauty and timeless poetry of the road. The dust clings to your robes, a reminder of the miles traveled and the stories gathered along the way. You smile quietly, knowing that this journey is more than just movement across the land. It is a passage through history, culture, and the enduring soul of ancient China. As the evening falls and lanterns begin to glow like fireflies in the growing dusk, you prepare to rest, carrying the memory of the ox cart's slow, steady rhythm and the whispered verses of poetry in your heart. The road ahead is long, but for now, you are exactly where you need to be, traveling through dust and poetry, a timeless journey beneath the endless sky. The evening air is cool and crisp as you ascend the narrow wooden ladder to the rooftop of your family's home, the familiar creak of aged timber greeting your steps. Above you, the sky is an endless dome of ink-black silk, embroidered with thousands of twinkling stars that shimmer faintly like distant lanterns hung by celestial hands. The village below has settled into quiet slumber, soft pools of lantern light flickering between shadowed rooftops and narrow alleys. Your cousin waits patiently, his slender hands carefully setting out the instruments of his craft, a finely carved bronze astrolabe, worn smooth by generations of use. Delicate silk star charts marked with constellations and the cycles of the moon, and a brush with soft, black hairs poised for calligraphy. His eyes gleam with an ancient wisdom, reflecting the starlight as he gestures toward the heavens. The rooftop's wooden planks, warm from the day's sun, cool quickly beneath your bare feet, while the scent of jasmine and faint smoke from incense drifting from the temple below mingle in the air. You settle beside your cousin on a woven mat, the fabric rough against your robes but comforting in its simplicity. He unrolls a large silk scroll, revealing intricate diagrams of the celestial sphere as understood by scholars of the Han Dynasty. His fingers trace the delicate lines of the 28 lunar mansions, the Chinese constellations that map the night sky differently from the Western zodiac. The azure dragon of the east stretches across the horizon, its serpentine form flickering like a ghost between the stars. To the west, the white tiger prowls silently, guarding the night with fierce grace. Above, the vermilion bird spreads its crimson wings, and in the north, the black tortoise lurks beneath a veil of mist and shadow. Your cousin's voice is low and melodic as he recounts the ancient stories bound to these constellations, the tale of the dragon who controls the rains, essential for the rice harvests that sustain your village, the tiger who protects against evil spirits, the bird who represents fire and renewal, and the tortoise who embodies longevity and wisdom. Each story is a thread woven into the fabric of your culture, a living memory passed down from sage to scholar. He points toward the Big Dipper, a familiar shape even here in China. Known as the Northern Dipper or Bei Do, revered for its role in navigation and timekeeping. The stars of the Dipper are said to govern the fate of all living beings, their slow rotation a cosmic clock marking the passage of years. As the night deepens, a gentle breeze stirs the lanterns on the rooftops below, their flames flickering like fireflies caught in a web of shadow. The scent of ripe lychee from nearby orchards blends with the crispness of the cool air, grounding you in this moment suspended between earth and sky. Your cousin produces a slender bamboo tube, from which he retrieves a delicate jade telescope, a rare treasure passed down from your grandfather. You peer through it, breath-catching as the moon's craters and ridges emerge in stunning detail, a rugged landscape bathed in silvery light, quiet and eternal. The telescope's glass feels cool against your cheek, and for a moment, you imagine yourself floating in that silent sea of stars, weightless and free. Suddenly, a brilliant streak of light cuts across the sky, a shooting star blazing like a flame against the dark. You gasp softly, your heart quickening with wonder. Your cousin closes his eyes and murmurs a wish, urging you to do the same. In the quiet night, beneath the vast cosmos, your thoughts drift toward hopes and dreams, of peace for your family, of wisdom in your days ahead, of harmony between heaven and earth. The conversation turns to Chang'e, the moon goddess who dwells alone in her pale palace, her story woven with sorrow and immortality. Your cousin recites the ancient verses, his voice lilting like a soft wind through bamboo groves. In the distant heavens, where the moonlight weaves, dwells Chang'e solitary in endless eves. You listen, captivated, as the legend unfolds, a tale of love, loss, and sacrifice, timeless and haunting. You imagine her graceful figure, cloaked in silver, drifting silently through the lunar gardens, forever watching over the earth below. As the hours slip by, the stars wheel slowly overhead, their positions shifting in a majestic dance choreographed by the heavens. Your cousin explains the intricate relationship between the lunar calendar and the rhythms of farming, the precise timing for planting rice, harvesting tea leaves, and preparing the land for winter's rest. The stars, he says, are not just distant lights but guides for all life's seasons. Your eyelids grow heavy, weighed down by the profound stillness and the gentle cadence of your cousin's voice. The world seems to breathe with you, the quiet pulse of night syncing with your own heartbeat. You feel small beneath this vast canopy, yet deeply connected to your ancestors, your culture, and the eternal sky. Before dawn, as the first pale blush of light softens the horizon, your cousin rolls up the scrolls and carefully packs away his instruments. He smiles warmly, a shared understanding passing between you. a bond forged by stars and stories, by wonder and the human longing to touch the infinite. You descend the ladder slowly, the cool morning air filling your lungs as you step back into the quiet streets of the village. The memory of the night's celestial symphony lingers, a soothing lullaby whispered by the cosmos itself, as you prepare to rest, carrying the night's magic deep within your heart. The soft light of early morning filters through the latticed windows of the humble workshop where you begin your day. The air is thick with the delicate, earthy scent of wet rice husks soaking in a large wooden vat. Around you, the quiet rhythm of water dripping and the gentle swish of fibers being stirred fills the room with a calming, meditative cadence. This is the heart of the ancient craft you have come to learn, the making of paper, a skill passed down through generations, woven into the very fabric of your culture. You dip your hands into the cool, murky water, feeling the rough texture of the rice husks slowly softening, fibers separating under your careful touch. The husks, often discarded after the rice harvest, are transformed here into the very surface upon which poems, paintings, and records of history will be inscribed. There is a sacredness to this process, a reminder of how nature's gifts are respected and renewed with patience and care. Your mentor, a stoic elder with hands worn by decades of craft, guides you gently. Patience, he says in a soft voice, is the essence of this work. The paper will not be rushed, just as wisdom cannot be hurried. With practiced motions, you scoop a fine mesh screen from the vat, lifting it slowly so that the wet pulp settles evenly across its surface. The water drains away through the delicate weave, leaving a thin layer of fibers behind. You feel the weight of the future, words yet to be written, thoughts yet to be captured, in that fragile sheet. The workshop is filled with the subtle sounds of this age-old process. The splash of water, the tap of wooden boards pressing the paper flat, the occasional sigh of the wind brushing against the paper drying on bamboo racks outside. Each step is deliberate, reverent, a quiet conversation between your hands and the material, between past and present. As the sheets dry under the warm sun, you watch the fibers interlace into a smooth, resilient fabric that will carry calligraphy and art for centuries. The color is a soft cream, with tiny flecks of the husks giving each sheet a unique character, imperfections that make every piece one of a kind, a testament to the handmade. This simple act connects you to the great scholars and poets whose work has endured through time because of this humble paper. You think of the ink brushes that will glide across its surface, the delicate poems about moonlight and mountains, the meticulous records of emperors and harvests, all beginning here with patience, water, and rice husks. Hours pass unnoticed as you continue, your hands steady, your mind calm. You realize that this craft is not just about making paper, but about cultivating a spirit of mindfulness, reverence, and enduring patience, qualities that echo through every aspect of life in ancient China. When the last sheet is hung to dry and the workshop grows quiet again, you step outside and breathe deeply. The sun is higher now, casting a golden glow over the fields beyond. You feel a quiet pride and a deep connection to the land, to your ancestors, and to the endless river of knowledge flowing through the ages, carried gently on the wings of handmade paper. You stand at the entrance of the ancient cave, hesitating for just a moment as a wave of cool, earthy air greets you. The bright light of the late morning sun outside contrasts sharply with the dim shadows folding into the cave's mouth like thick velvet curtains. Stepping inside, the world transforms. The heat of the day is replaced by a steady chill that seeps deep into your skin, soothing and mysterious. The air here carries the faint, almost sacred scent of damp stone, mixed with the dry musk of parchment and the subtle aroma of incense burned long ago. This cave is no ordinary cavern. It is a hidden sanctuary carved into the side of a remote mountain, long ago chosen by scholars and monks as a place to safeguard precious scrolls and manuscripts. These fragile treasures, inked with poetry, philosophy, history, and imperial decrees are the very pulse of your culture's past. They are kept here in reverence, protected from the sun's harsh light, the moisture of the outside world, and the careless hands of time. Your footsteps echo softly as you move deeper inside, the uneven stone floor cool beneath your bare feet. You pause occasionally, feeling the rough texture of the cave walls as you brush your fingertips against them, grounding yourself in the solidity and age of this place. Here, the ordinary rush of life, market noise, calls of children, the clatter of carts, vanishes completely, replaced by a profound silence that hums with unseen energy. A small oil lamp flickers in the hand of your guide, casting a warm, trembling glow that dances over the carefully stacked shelves lining the cave's interior. Each shelf holds bundles of scrolls, tied meticulously with silk cords dyed in crimson and indigo, their surfaces mottled with the passage of centuries. You reach out with reverence to touch one, feeling the delicate texture of the rice paper, thin as a butterfly's wing yet surprisingly resilient, its fibers interwoven with painstaking craftsmanship. The scrolls carry the wisdom of sages and poets, the carefully inked characters telling stories of ancient dynasties, the philosophies of Confucius and Laozi, and the lives of common folk whose names have long since faded into the mists of history. As your fingers trace the faded brushstrokes, you can almost hear the whisper of the past, the careful cadence of scholars reciting verses by candlelight, the rhythmic scratch of brush against paper. Settling yourself on a smooth stone bench carved from the cave floor, you draw a deep breath, the coolness calming your restless thoughts. Your guide unfurls one of the scrolls with slow, deliberate hands, revealing a detailed map of the night sky, inked in precise lines that have barely faded despite the passing of hundreds of years. You gaze upward through the faint light filtering into the cave, imagining the same stars twinkling in the heavens as they did when this map was first drawn, guiding travelers and philosophers alike. The stillness wraps around you like a soft cloak. Time feels suspended here, measured not by hours or days, but by the delicate balance of preservation and decay, by the steady drip of water echoing somewhere deeper in the cave, by the whispered breath of the ancestors who entrusted this knowledge to stone and silk. You think of the monks who tended these scrolls through harsh winters and sweltering summers, their devotion unwavering, their lives dedicated to the careful stewardship of human wisdom. They understood that knowledge is fragile, a flame that must be shielded from every wind of change and loss. In this cool sanctuary, protected by rock and silence, their work endures, a beacon through the centuries. Your mind drifts to the contrast between the quiet of this cave and the vibrant life outside, markets bustling with merchants, children laughing and chasing through the rice fields, the clang of blacksmiths' hammers echoing in the valley. Here, the world is paused, a breath held in reverence, a sacred space where the past lives on in ink and fiber, untouched by the chaos beyond. As the lamp's light dims and shadows deepen, you rise reluctantly. The cave's cool embrace lingers in your bones, a reminder of the enduring strength of patience, respect, and the slow, steady passage of knowledge through time. Stepping back into the sunlight, the warm breeze greets you like an old friend, but inside you carry the quiet coolness of the cave, a hidden treasure of calm and wisdom, wrapped in the soft whisper of ancient scrolls. You wake slowly as the first pale light of dawn slips through the thin silk curtains of your houseboat's small window, casting gentle shadows on the wooden floor beneath your feet. The houseboat rocks ever so slightly, a soft rhythm that matches the peaceful murmur of the river leaf flowing quietly outside. The air is cool and fresh, tinged with the faint scent of water lilies and wet bamboo leaves, mingling with the faint aroma of jasmine tea left steaming on the low table beside you. Stretching your limbs, you feel the smooth, worn wood beneath your hands and the subtle sway beneath your feet, a gentle reminder that this floating home is part of the river itself. Outside, mist clings softly to the water's surface, blurring the towering karst mountains into dreamlike silhouettes, their jagged peaks rising like ancient sentinels guarding the secrets of the land. You step onto the narrow deck, your bare feet meeting the cool wood, slick from the morning's dew. The river flows silently beneath, its glassy surface reflecting the pale pink and lavender hues of the sky. A heron stands poised nearby on a slender reed, still as a statue, before it suddenly takes flight with slow, graceful beats of its wings. The village on the riverbank stirs quietly in the distance, the low murmur of voices, the clatter of wooden tools, the occasional bark of a dog, yet all feels distant and serene here, on your floating sanctuary. You take a deep breath and sip your tea, the warmth spreading through your body, calming and steadying your thoughts. Inside the small houseboat, the furnishings are simple but thoughtful, a low table with delicate carved legs, silk cushions scattered on bamboo mats, and shelves lined with scrolls and ink stones, remnants of the scholar's life that once inhabited this vessel. The walls are paper thin, allowing the gentle sounds of the river and bird calls to filter in like a soft lullaby. As the sun climbs higher, the mist begins to lift, unveiling the lush greenery of the riverbanks. Clusters of willows dipping their branches into the water, bursts of lotus blossoms floating lazily downstream, and farmers tending rice paddies terraced along the hillsides. You watch as a small fishing boat drifts by, its occupant skillfully casting a net, the water rippling softly in reply. Time seems to slow here, measured not by hours or schedules, but by the natural flow of the river, the sun's steady journey across the sky, and the slow blooming of the morning. You lose yourself in the quiet beauty of the moment, the perfect stillness of a lazy morning untouched by hurry or worry. As you settle back inside, closing your eyes to the gentle rocking, you feel a deep connection to this timeless landscape and to the generations who have lived and loved along these waters. The houseboat is more than just a home. It is a vessel of memory and peace, drifting slowly through the ages, carrying you gently forward on the river's endless path. The first light of dawn seeps slowly through the delicate latticework of your family's ancestral home, casting a soft amber glow that bathes the worn wooden floor in warmth. Outside, a faint chill lingers in the air, the unmistakable breath of autumn drifting gently through the valley. Leaves, painted in shades of fiery crimson, deep gold, and burnt orange, drift slowly down from ancient ginkgo trees lining the village paths, carpeting the earth in a tapestry of color. The river nearby hums quietly, reflecting the soft hues of early morning mist that wraps the landscape like a fragile veil. Inside the kitchen, the world is entirely different, a warm sanctuary alive with the aroma of freshly ground wheat and the rich, earthy scent of minced pork blended carefully with ginger, scallions, and a hint of soy. Your hands, steady and experienced, work the dough patiently, pressing and folding the supple mass until it becomes smooth and elastic, pliable like silk stretched over bamboo frames. Every knead connects you to the generations before you, your mother, your grandmother, and their mothers before them, who, in kitchens just like this, prepared the same dough for the same celebration, weaving the fabric of family and tradition with each fold. Bowls of finely chopped napa cabbage, fragrant shiitake mushrooms, and tender pork fat rest on the wooden counter, their colors vibrant under the soft morning light. The mixture is seasoned with care, a delicate balance of salt, pepper, and a touch of toasted sesame oil, enough to enhance the natural flavors without overwhelming them. Your fingers dance over the ingredients as you mix the filling, careful to keep it moist yet firm, a promise of juicy, savory pleasure nestled inside each dumpling. You roll a small portion of dough into a perfect sphere, flattening it between your palms until it is thin enough to almost see through at the edges, thick enough in the center to hold the filling without tearing. Gently, you place a spoonful of the mixture in the center, feeling its weight and texture, imagining the burst of flavor it will deliver once steamed to perfection. Then begins the delicate art of folding, your fingers working with practiced grace to pinch and pleat, crafting elegant ridges that resemble the gentle waves of the river outside, the graceful curves of the surrounding karst peaks, or the rippling fields of rice swaying in the autumn breeze. The kitchen fills with a quiet symphony, the rhythmic slap of dough against wood, the soft murmur of your mother singing a centuries-old folk song, the playful chatter of your younger siblings as they try to imitate your movements, sometimes succeeding, often laughing at their own mistakes. Outside, the village awakens with gentle sounds, the distant clatter of wooden carts rolling along cobblestone paths, the melodic call of the temple bell far on the hill, and the laughter of children chasing one another near the lotus ponds. You glance around, feeling the comforting presence of your family, the worn calligraphy scrolls that decorate the walls, the bundles of dried herbs hanging from ceiling beams, the intricate lacquered boxes filled with delicate tea leaves waiting for the evening's gathering. Each element a thread in the rich tapestry of your shared history, each one a reminder of the enduring cycle of life and celebration. Hours pass, marked only by the changing light that filters through the paper windows, the soft rustle of autumn leaves outside, and the steadily growing piles of perfectly formed dumplings resting on cloth-lined trays. You pause often, taking quiet moments to savor the aroma of your work, the satisfaction of your hands shaping something so simple yet profound. The dumplings are more than nourishment, they are vessels of memory, gratitude, and hope, each one a silent prayer for health, happiness, and prosperity in the coming year. As the afternoon sun sinks low, casting long shadows across the village, you prepare the steaming pots that will transform the raw dough and filling into tender morsels of warmth. The rising steam fogs the small windows of the kitchen, mingling with the soft light and the laughter that spills through the air as neighbors begin to arrive, drawn by the promise of food and festivity. Soon, lanterns will be lit, their glowing orbs bobbing gently in the cool evening breeze, painting the faces of friends and family with flickering light. You imagine the festival night ahead, the tables heavy with bowls of dumplings, roasted meats, and fragrant teas, the voices of elders sharing stories from a time long past, the children running with lanterns shaped like rabbits and dragons, their eyes wide with wonder. Tonight, the village will celebrate the harvest, the changing of the seasons, and the deep bonds that tie you all together across time. And as you set the last tray aside, exhausted but content, you feel the deep, steady rhythm of tradition beating in your chest. In this simple act of preparation, you have become part of something greater, a current flowing through the ages, carrying the joys and sorrows, hopes and dreams of countless hands before you, each dumpling a testament to the enduring heart of your people. The narrow dirt path winds like a lazy serpent through the village, flanked by ancient cypress and pine trees whose twisted branches reach skyward as if longing to touch the endless expanse of the pale blue heavens. Each footstep you take stirs up the faint scent of damp earth and fallen leaves, mingling with the subtle aroma of wild chrysanthemums growing untamed along the roadside. The late afternoon sun leans low in the sky, gilding the village rooftops with a honey glow that softens the edges of every wooden beam, every stone step, as if the world itself is being draped in a golden silk shawl. Ahead, nestled between two weathered houses with curved tile roofs, stands the fortune teller's pavilion, a humble structure draped with red silk banners, now faded by countless seasons but still fluttering gently in the cool autumn breeze. The fabric whispers secrets older than the village itself, and you can almost hear the silent prayers woven into its threads by villagers past. The air here carries the scent of sandalwood incense burning steadily in a small bronze censer, the smoke curling upward like restless spirits drawn to the sky. You pause at the threshold, your heart beating quietly but steadily. The fortune teller's home is a place where destiny is read, where the unseen threads of fate are untangled and reknotted. Yet today, you have no pressing questions, no urgent need to divine the future, no pressing troubles or hopes crowding your mind. You came here more out of habit, perhaps, or a vague desire to touch the stillness that seems to hang in the air like a fragile mist. The fortune teller herself sits cross-legged on a woven mat of reed and straw, her figure framed by the soft flicker of paper lanterns that cast a warm, amber light on her weathered face. Her eyes are closed when you enter, her hands resting gently on a low carved table littered with jade amulets. Smooth stones, ancient coins, and fragile talismans inscribed with ink and prayer. Slowly, she opens her eyes, dark and serene pools that seem to hold the wisdom of countless seasons, reflecting the dim light like polished obsidian. She gestures quietly for you to sit, her voice barely above a whisper but carrying the weight of calm certainty. "Not every visit carries a question," she says, her smile as gentle as the evening breeze. "Sometimes, the soul seeks only to be seen, to rest in the quiet between questions." You settle yourself on the mat, feeling the cool fibers beneath your knees, grounding you in this place outside of time. Your gaze drifts over the table, smooth jade pieces cool to the touch, their deep green surfaces mottled with veins like river currents, yellowed papers folded neatly, each one a small vessel of hope or protection, a small bronze bell that once called spirits to listen, now silent but resonant with memory. Outside, the village hums softly, the rhythmic clatter of wooden carts rolling over cobblestones, the distant laughter of children chasing one another near the lotus ponds, the murmur of women weaving baskets by the riverbank. The sounds mingle with the scent of steamed rice and roasted chestnuts drifting from nearby kitchens, blending into a symphony of daily life that feels timeless, unchanging. The fortune teller begins to speak again, her voice weaving a tale of the moon's silent journey across the sky, how it pulls the tides, guides the seasons, and watches over those who seek its quiet light. She speaks of fate as less a path and more a river, sometimes placid, sometimes rushing with unpredictable currents, reminding you that to navigate life is not to command it but to flow with it. Her words are not answers, but a gentle invitation to trust the unseen, to find peace in uncertainty. As you listen, you feel your breath slow, your thoughts settling like sediment in clear water. You close your eyes briefly, feeling the steady rhythm of your heartbeat in your chest, the warmth of the incense swirling around you, the fading glow of lantern light casting shadows that dance softly on the pavilion walls. For a moment, there is only stillness, a breath held between two worlds, a silence that sings louder than any question. Though you came with no purpose beyond wandering here, the visit itself becomes an answer. It is a quiet blessing, a reminder that sometimes the deepest wisdom lies not in seeking but in simply being, in sitting still, letting the world unfold around you without striving or grasping. The fortune teller's eyes meet yours once more, and in their steady gaze, you feel a gentle kindness, an unspoken understanding that whatever comes, you are not alone. When you rise to leave, the sun dips below the distant hills, spilling streaks of rose and violet across the horizon. The red banners flutter softly in the growing twilight, and the pavilion's warm light fades behind you as you walk back through the village, the soft rustle of leaves beneath your feet carrying you forward. The quiet peace of this moment lingers, a glowing ember nestled deep within your heart, warming you gently against the approaching night. The wooden floor beneath your feet creaks softly as you step inside the old inn, its heavy doors swinging shut behind you with a gentle thud that seems to echo in the quiet room. The air inside is cool and still, carrying the faint scent of polished cedar mixed with lingering traces of jasmine tea and worn silk. Outside, the world hums faintly, distant cicadas weaving their endless song into the late afternoon, the rustle of leaves stirred by a gentle breeze. You find yourself alone in this hushed space, the inn deserted for now, as if the day's travelers have all moved on and left only their memories behind. Soft shafts of fading sunlight filter through the latticed windows, casting a warm lattice of light and shadow across the smooth wooden tables and lacquered chairs, their surfaces worn smooth by years of stories shared and promises whispered. Your eyes are drawn upward, where delicate wind chimes hang from the eaves just outside the open window. Crafted from thin bamboo tubes, Their hollow voices catch the breeze and sing softly, a tinkling melody that weaves through the air like the gentle laughter of children playing in distant fields. Each note is fragile, shimmering in the quiet, blending with the whispering wind as it moves like a slow breath through the empty rooms. You settle near the window, feeling the rough grain of the wooden bench beneath your hands. The coolness of the evening begins to settle in, the sky outside deepening from pale blue to the soft indigo of twilight. The wind chimes, song swells and fades, ebbing like waves caressing the shore, soothing and steady. It feels as if time has slowed here, pressing softly against the edges of your thoughts, inviting you to surrender the noise of your mind. Your breath falls into rhythm with the chimes, slow and even. You think of the travelers who once sought refuge here, weary merchants, wandering poets, farmers returning from distant fields, each carrying their own stories and secrets like precious cargo. The inn has borne witness to their joys and sorrows, their quiet moments of hope and fleeting connections, and now, in this silence, you become a part of that unspoken history. The wind picks up slightly, and the chimes respond with a brighter song, as if sharing a secret only the wind and the walls understand. Outside, a single lantern flickers on, casting a warm pool of light that spills across the worn stones of the courtyard. The shadows deepen, but inside you feel a calm warmth spreading slowly through your chest, like the steady glow of a candle held close in the night. You close your eyes briefly, letting the melody wash over you, each gentle note unraveling the tension knotted tight in your shoulders. The world outside, the rush and roar, the endless demands, falls away, leaving only this small sanctuary where the wind speaks softly through bamboo, and time feels like a soft, endless sigh. When you finally rise to leave, the first stars twinkle faintly above the tiled roof, and the inn settles back into its quiet watchfulness, waiting for the next traveler to find shelter within its walls. As you step back out into the cooling air, the sound of the wind chimes lingers in your ears, a gentle reminder that sometimes, the most profound moments come not from seeking answers, but simply from listening. You sit at your desk in the Imperial Archives, a vast hall that feels almost like a sacred temple. Endless rows of towering shelves stretch before you, crammed with countless scrolls wrapped in soft silk and carefully tied with crimson and jade threads. The faint scent of ancient paper and the sharp tang of ink fill the cool air, mixing with the subtle warmth of beeswax candles flickering gently in bronze holders shaped like lotus flowers. Sunlight spills through the lattice windows high above, casting intricate geometric shadows that slowly crawl across the polished stone floor like slow-moving dragons. The gentle rustling of silk robes echoes softly as the archivists move with quiet purpose, their footsteps muffled by woven straw mats that cover the floor. This place, untouched by the bustling chaos of the palace beyond its walls, seems suspended in time. Your brush, carved from fine bamboo and bound with silk thread, feels steady in your fingers as you dip it into the shallow inkstone, swirling the thick black liquid until it clings perfectly to the bristles. Each stroke is deliberate, measured, a small act of devotion. The characters you paint are more than just letters. They are living symbols, carriers of the Emperor's will and the wisdom of scholars long gone. Around you, the air hums with a soft energy, a blend of concentration, reverence, and the slow passage of centuries. Occasionally, you glance at the towering scroll racks to your left, imagining the countless secrets they hold. Ancient poems whispered by wandering monks, records of dynasties long fallen, maps charting vast empires, and sacred texts detailing the philosophies that shaped your world. The weight of your task presses gently upon you. This is no mere copying, it is a sacred responsibility. Each character you inscribe must be perfect, for even a small mistake could alter the meaning of a decree or the flow of a prayer. The ink flows smoothly onto the rice paper, soaking into the fibers like a river carving its path through stone, slow, steady, eternal. Outside the high windows, You catch glimpses of the sprawling forbidden city gardens, where magnolia blossoms drift on a soft breeze, and distant birds call their evening songs. The palace's faint sounds, footsteps, low conversations, the melodic twang of a guillotine, float faintly up. But here, inside these hallowed halls, such distractions fall away. Time itself feels softer, gentler. Your mind wanders briefly to the lives your words will touch, imperial advisors poring over edicts, scholars seeking enlightenment, future generations deciphering the history you preserve. This thought brings a quiet smile to your lips and deepens your focus. Every stroke is a link in a chain stretching backward and forward through time. A senior archivist passes by, his flowing robes whispering against the stone. He pauses beside you, his eyes sharp yet kind, briefly scanning your work. You hold your breath, then feel the slightest nod of approval. It is a small gesture, but it carries the weight of recognition and pride. The sun sinks lower, and the hall grows cooler. You stretch your tired hands and gaze once more at the scroll before you, newly finished. The paper's surface gleams faintly under the candlelight, the black ink rich and unyielding. Carefully you roll the scroll, tying it with a length of crimson silk embroidered with golden threads, a symbol of respect for the knowledge it carries. As you rise and step into the courtyard, the evening air is crisp with the scent of pine and plum blossoms. Lanterns hang from wooden beams, their soft glow illuminating the carved stone pathways. Overhead, stars begin to pierce the darkening sky, their ancient light a reminder of the vastness of the world beyond these walls. You pause, breathing deeply, feeling the steady pulse of history beneath your feet, the quiet strength of those who came before you, and the fragile promise of those who will follow. For now, you carry the weight of countless lives in your hands, a silent guardian of the Empire's memory. The air is thick and heavy as dusk settles slowly over the village, a tangible stillness wrapping itself around the wooden houses and narrow dirt paths like a soft, warm blanket. You stand barefoot on the cool earth outside your small home, the smell of damp soil and ripe chrysanthemums mingling with the faint scent of distant smoke from cooking fires. The sky above is a deepening gray, clouds gathering low and heavy, pregnant with the promise of rain. The cicadas' songs, once loud and persistent throughout the day, have quieted, replaced by the occasional chirp of crickets hidden in the tall grass. The wind is almost imperceptible, a gentle breath that stirs the bamboo leaves and carries a coolness that hints at the coming storm. You breathe it in deeply, feeling a shiver run through your body, a mixture of anticipation and calm. As evening deepens, lanterns begin to glow softly along the village pathways, their paper shells flickering like tiny moons caught in the shadows. Inside your home, the wooden walls seem to hum with the memory of countless rainy nights before, when the heavens opened and the world was washed clean. You can hear the steady drip of water from the eaves, a quiet prelude to the deluge. You move inside to sit by the open window, your fingers tracing the cool frame as your eyes scan the horizon where dark clouds roll in slowly, like great waves swelling on a vast sea. The scent of wet wood and earth grows stronger, filling the room with the essence of rain yet to fall. Your heart beats in rhythm with the rising wind, steady and slow. The village is hushed, as if the earth itself is holding its breath. Dogs curl up in doorways, their breaths soft and even. A distant rooster crows once, a lonely sound swallowed quickly by the gathering storm. The world feels poised on the edge of something vast and transformative, a moment suspended between the end of dryness and the beginning of renewal. You reach for a cup of jasmine tea, its warmth a small comfort against the chill creeping through the night air. Outside, the first drops begin to fall, light and tentative, tapping softly on the leaves and rooftops. The wind picks up, carrying the scent of rain-dampened pine and moss. Soon, the gentle patter grows into a steady rhythm, a soothing song that fills the night. You close your eyes, letting the rain's melody wash over you, each drop a gentle kiss on your skin. The world outside blurs into a dance of water and shadow, the lantern light flickering through the mist. This night, like so many before, promises change, a cleansing, a renewal, and you feel the ancient pulse of the seasons moving through you. As the rain falls heavier, you settle deeper into the quiet, knowing that tomorrow the earth will drink deeply, and the world will awaken anew beneath the nurturing sky. You lie on your simple woven mat inside your wooden home, the soft glow of a paper lantern casting warm, flickering shadows on the walls. Outside, the night has deepened into a velvet blackness, dotted with countless stars twinkling like ancient eyes watching silently from the heavens. The air is cool and fresh, carrying with it the subtle fragrance of wet earth and blossoming jasmine from the garden just beyond your door. Through the open window, you hear the gentle rustling of bamboo leaves, stirred by a tender night breeze that moves with a quiet, almost secret rhythm. The sound is hypnotic, a soft, whispering murmur that seems to breathe life into the night itself, wrapping you in a peaceful cocoon of nature's lullaby. Each sigh of the wind through the bamboo carries away the worries and noise of the day, leaving only a serene calm in its place. You close your eyes and feel your body relax deeply, sinking slowly into the warmth of your simple home. The bamboo's song blends with the distant calls of night birds and the faint croak of frogs hidden in the wetland beyond the village. This harmony of nature soothes your mind, inviting your thoughts to drift gently like fallen leaves floating on a quiet stream. Memories of the day flicker softly in your mind, the feel of cool river water on your skin, the delicate brush of ink on rice paper, the taste of sweet tea shared with friends under the plum trees, and the steady, grounding presence of the ancient mountain watching silently over the village. All these moments weave together into a tapestry of belonging and timeless peace. As the wind moves through the bamboo again, you feel the pulse of the earth itself, steady and sure beneath you. You are part of this rhythm, a small but essential note in the song of the land. The night deepens, but you are wrapped safely in the gentle embrace of nature's breath, your spirit quiet and full. Slowly, your breath evens out, your heartbeat softens, and the last thoughts of the waking world dissolve into the soothing music of the night. The bamboo continues to sway, singing its endless song, a promise of morning light and new beginnings. Before you drift completely into sleep, take a moment to feel gratitude for this quiet life, for the peace found in simplicity, and for the stories passed down like lantern light through the ages. May the gentle wind carry your dreams far and wide. If you've enjoyed this journey into ancient China, I invite you to subscribe and join me for more quiet stories from the past. Leave a comment below. I'd love to hear what part touched your heart the most, or if there's a story you'd like to explore next. Thank you for sharing this calm moment with me. Sleep well, and until next time, may your dreams be filled with the soft whispers of bamboo in the wind.